Are you going to answer the question?
Did you hear my question about the president, though? Wait, hold on. Hold on. Wait, whoa. Hold on a second. I would like to have a conversation with you, but I need you to answer the question that I asked.
This is the kind of silly stunts that Republicans do because they can't govern.
7 times you guys voted, 7 times in a row, including over the weekend.
I don't know if you know this, Ben, but Republicans are in control of the House and the Senate and the White House. You guys, Jesus. My God.
Well,
7 times the Republicans who tried to tie ICE funding to TSA pay, okay?
Oh my goodness! Hold on. I don't understand. I'm unclear as to what's happening, Ben. I don't understand why you do this, because I'm asking one person a question, they're talking. You interrupt them repeatedly so they cannot finish their point. No one is doing that to you.
You're not fact-checking when you're live being put out on CNN right now.
Excuse me, Ben.
It takes a staggering amount of audacity to sit on live television, blame Democrats for a shutdown, and not account for the fact that your own party's senator, on camera, on the record, already told the world that Donald Trump killed the deal himself. That's not a talking point. That's not spin. That's the tape playing on the screen right behind you. And yet Ben kept going, kept interrupting, kept circling back to 7 times like some kind of broken slot machine that only has one symbol. Because that's the whole playbook. If you can't answer the question, you bury the question. You talk over the host. You talk over the other guest. You generate enough noise that by the time the segment ends, half the audience forgets what was actually asked. Except this host wasn't having it. She stopped the segment cold, pulled the Senator Kennedy clip, put it on the screen and said, "Here it is, now answer the question." And when he still wouldn't, she called it out by name, in real time, on live TV. Republicans control the House, the Senate, the White House. They own this government like a landlord who won't fix the heat and still blames the tenant for the broken pipes. I'm Roman Hayes, this is Hayes for the People, and I am done being polite about this. Let's look. If you're tired of the runaround, hit subscribe. We do the actual homework here.
I think they can do 2 things at the same time. They're not the ones that are screening the bags, as we know, and TSA agents will be doing that, the ones that are showing up, and God bless them for showing up as they're being held hostage, and their pay is being held hostage by the Democratic Party for what we're now into multiple weeks. The times have gone down significantly. In Houston, for example, right now, it's under 40 minutes at Terminal A. It was upwards of almost 5 hours yesterday. Those times have come down. Minneapolis is at 5 minutes at one of their checkpoints late this evening. That was at 4.5 hours the same time last night. So not only are these times going down, you're seeing that the president is understanding the American people paid their taxes, and they deserve to be able to go to an airport and not have to be there for 5 hours standing in a line when trying to travel, do business, or go on spring break. And all of this is avoidable. The Democratic Party decided they wanted to hold the American people hostage at the airports. This is their decision to do it. I think it's a disgrace. And as an American taxpayer, I'm furious, and so are a lot of others. I don't understand why you would do this to the American people, but I'm glad that the president is continuing to look at different opportunities to put the American people back as priority number 1 instead of saying we don't care about you, and that's what the Democrats have done.
Well, for starters, this isn't the Democrats holding up the funding. This is Donald Trump holding up the funding because he's demanding that they pass the SAVE Act. He's demanding that they fund additional money for ICE. It's not. Senator Kennedy on Fox News said it tonight. Donald Trump is the reason that we don't have a deal right now on TSA to fund these agents. Now, Ben brought up the progress that's been made.
7 times.
Hey, Ben, I didn't interrupt you.
I on this.
Let me talk.
Ben, hold on. Wait, hold on. Okay, both of you, hold on a second. Ben, I've asked him a question. I'd like him to answer the same way I asked you one, and you had the opportunity to answer. But both of you can pause for a second, because I do want to reference the clip that you just mentioned, Mike, because Senator Kennedy, we actually have it here.
And that way we're out of the shutdown and DHS is back open. We submitted that, Senator Cthulhu submitted that to President Trump, as is his right. He said no deals with the Democrats. So we're back to square one.
Mike, now that we've heard what you referenced, continue your point.
Yeah, that's the whole ball game right there. Donald Trump won't allow there to be a deal. So all this faux outrage from folks like Ben, this is a Republican shutdown. They're the reason that this is happening. And I want to make one more point, too, because Ben wanted to hail how the ICE agents are making things more efficient at airports. He brought up that Minneapolis is experiencing 5 minutes right now. There are no ICE agents at Minneapolis right now. So Republicans should get connected to the real world and stop taking credit for things that have nothing to do with it.
That's not true.
And that's
There's
not one of
ICE
the
agents
it's
there.
not
There's
one of the
pictures
13
them. Go
airports where
on
there are
X
ICE
right
agents,
now.
Ben,
You
and
will
you know
see them.
than that.
Go on X
You know
right
what,
now.
Ben?
You
If
will
you could
see
stand
them.
on your
You can't
argument,
just
you wouldn't
make
be
up
interrupting
lies
me.
and say it's true.
It's ridiculous.
Ben,
Now, listen, you're the one who's coming up here and spreading
right.
things that aren't true.
Well, let me ask. Yes, I happen to have been in Minneapolis this morning. I was also in Baltimore today. I experienced very little wait time in either direction, but I've also been in both places when there has been a huge ICE presence. And especially in Minneapolis on the ground during the protest just several months ago after the what incidents had happened on the streets there. But Ben, you know, Trump is demanding Republicans tie DHS funding to his voter bill, the Save America Act. Even Senate Majority Leader John Thune called that, quote, unrealistic. I want you to address what Mike's point was, along with Senator Kennedy's point, about the idea of going back to the starting blocks yet again. If the president is saying no deals with Democrats, how does that help negotiations progress to get the American public where they want to be?
Yeah, when you're being held hostage by the Democratic Party and you've had 7 votes to fund the Department of Homeland Security and stop this insanity at the airports 7 times. That is a fact. Anyone can go check it. 7 times Democrats have said no.
Ben, are you going to answer the question that Laura asked you?
Did you hear my question about the president, though? I hear. Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. Wait, whoa. Hold on a second. I would like to have a conversation with you, but I need you to answer the question that I asked about the president's involvement in terms of him saying, it's not my words, it's the Senator Kennedy talking about it. If the president is saying that there can be no negotiations with Democrats, then what are the 7 votes? What impact would those have? It sounds like he has a major vote there.
You had 7 times the Democrats said no. So the president said, all right, let's change the strategy.
Violently take ICE agents in San Francisco because she didn't have enough documentation to prove her citizenship. This is the kind of silly stunts that Republicans do because they can't govern.
7 times you guys voted 7 times in a row, including over the weekend.
I don't know if you know this, Ben, but Republicans are in control of the House and the Senate and the White House. You guys can govern at any time. It's not on us that you guys can't govern.
The Democrats say no.
The United States is preventing the deal.
7 times. 7 times. This is new after the 7. I'm trying to explain this in like a childproof way for you. You had 7 times that you voted on this no. The president then said, okay, let's try a different approach. That is what a normal leader would do. Not do it 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times where you guys say no.
Jesus. My God.
Well,
7 times the Republicans who tried to tie ICE funding to TSA pay, okay? If you take that away,
we have not done that.
TSA, which
that is also a lie.
A number of bills.
Oh my goodness! Hold on. I'm unclear as to what's happening, Ben. I don't understand why you do this because I'm asking one person a question, they're talking. You interrupt them repeatedly so they cannot finish their point. No one is doing that to you.
You're not fact-checking when your lies being put out on CNN right now.
Excuse me, Ben. Hold on a second. You have the wrong anchor. I'm telling you right now, I do fact-check in real time, which is why I asked you the follow-up question about what the impact of President Trump's statement was on the ability to negotiate. You went backwards to the 7 times as if you were the principal in Ferris Bueller's Day Off talking about his penalties 9 times. I'm asking you about the President of the United States, who you know where the buck stops. I don't know why you didn't answer that question, but to devolve into an insult to me or my guest is not the solution. No, now you're answering it, but now the segment's done.
I said that earlier. You can go back and watch the tape.
I will. And I also said, as I'll say again right now, I'd like to have a conversation with you both. I hope the next time you both appear, I'm able to have that. Ben, Mike, thank you.
Okay, let's break down what Ben was actually doing in that clip, because it wasn't just bad debating. It was a strategy, a deliberate one. Pillar 1, the immediate lie. The 7 times line wasn't an argument. It was a fire alarm. Every time the host got close to the real question. Why is the president saying no deals with Democrats? Ben pulled that lever. 7 times. 7 times. Because if you can keep resetting the conversation back to a number, you never have to address the actual obstruction sitting in the Oval Office. That's not a debater forgetting his place. That's a guy who showed up with one job. Make sure that question never gets a clean answer on camera. And here's what gets me. He almost pulled it off. Because that is how it usually goes. The guest runs the clock, the host moves on, and 48 hours later, the only clip circulating is the part where he said, 7 times with enough confidence that it sounds like a fact. Except this time the host had the receipts loaded and ready. She didn't reach for them after the segment. She didn't tweet about it later. She stopped the show mid-sentence and played the tape. That almost never happens. Think about how many times you've watched a Sunday morning show where a politician just flatly lies and the host nods and says, "We'll have to leave it there." This was the opposite of that. Pillar 2, follow the money. Now zoom out. Because the 7 times lie doesn't exist in a vacuum. There is an entire industrial complex built around keeping that particular lie alive. When TSA agents aren't getting paid, when airport security is understaffed, when wait times balloon to 5 hours, who benefits? Not the working family trying to get to their sister's wedding in Phoenix. Not the small business owner flying coach to close a deal. The people who benefit are the private contractors already circling the federal workforce with buyout proposals. The private equity firms that have been salivating over the idea of privatized airport security for 2 decades. Every week that the federal government looks incompetent and broken is another week that the pitch for private sector solutions gets a little easier to sell to the public. The chaos isn't a bug. For some very specific donors, it is absolutely the feature. And the Republican Party, the one that controls the House, the Senate, and the White House, needs you focused on the word Democrats, so you never look at the people actually holding the pen. Pillar 3, the American anchor. Here's where I land on this. You know that moment when you're fighting a bogus charge on your phone bill, and the rep keeps reading you the same script no matter what you say, and you finally ask for a supervisor, and that person reads you the same script, just slower? And you're sitting there thinking, someone, somewhere, made a deliberate decision that this is how this call is going to go, and my frustration is just the cost of doing business to them? That is the relationship most Americans have with their own government right now. The confusion is the product, the runaround is the point, and the Ben Fergusons of the world are the automated phone tree, designed to exhaust you before you ever reach someone with actual authority. What made that CNN segment matter wasn't that one host got fed up, it's that she modeled something we've almost forgotten is possible. You can stop the machine mid-cycle, play the tape, and say, no, that's not what happened. You're allowed to do that. We're all allowed to do that. I could be reading this wrong, though. Maybe Ben genuinely believes the line he was selling. I'd actually find that more disturbing than the alternative. Tell me what you saw in the comments, because I'm curious whether you think this was cynical strategy or true believer chaos. Both answers scare me for different reasons. Take care of yourselves out there this week. Don't let these guys steal your whole afternoon over airport wait times they manufactured themselves.